Hi, welcome back to Uproarious. I'm Rory, and today we're going to talk about emotional literacy and the 5 categories of emotions. Emotional literacy is a term which refers to all the parts of knowing and understanding our emotions, everything from feeling them to influencing them in ourselves and others. To get the most out of our own emotions, we should understand them, what they're trying to do for us, what they communicate to other people, and what we can do when we don't like the emotions that we're experiencing. First, we're going to start by digging into the 5 emotional categories. There are a lot of different emotions that a human can experience, but all of them fall into one of these 5 different categories because of the way that our bodies and minds react when we experience these emotions. The 5 emotional categories are in no particular order: happiness, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust. We want to make sure that we're talking about emotions as complete and complex things that our bodies do because they can be kind of a mess and difficult for us to understand. And by understanding them, putting them into words, and labeling our experience, we give our brain more information to work with to understand ourselves and our experience with the world better. As we go into exploring these emotions, there's going to be a few rules that come up now and then. The first one is that every emotion has a cause, whether or not we understand it. Some emotions may be easier to understand than others. For example, being happy when you receive a gift seems pretty straightforward. But when that feeling turns to disappointment once you open the gift and realize that it's not what you wanted, it can be more complicated to dig into that and understand why exactly you experienced disappointment, or what about that situation does no longer make you happy. The next rule is that every emotion has a purpose. When our brain gives us the chemicals to experience an emotion, it's trying to send us a message. And that message may be very clear, or it may be less clear, but it nevertheless is your brain attempting to communicate to you. The third rule we have for emotions is that emotions are closely tied to memories and are therefore very important to our overall mental health. By understanding and controlling our emotions better, we can improve our memory, improve our understanding of the world, and improve our relationship with our own brain. The last rule we have with our emotions is that we have to remember that our emotions are also a way that we communicate with others. If we get angry when something happens, it tells other people that we care very much about this. If we get very happy and smile when somebody gives us a gift, it tells them that that was a good gift and they should do that kind of thing for us again. No emotion is immune to this, and we may be communicating more information than we mean to when we experience an emotion, and other people can be communicating information to us when they experience an emotion. Finally, I want to go over the different things that we're going to cover throughout the emotional literacy unit. The first of these things is what each emotion does for us. Over the next 5 weeks, I'll dive into each emotion and explain all of the ways that that emotion puts in the work to help us live better lives. The next thing that we'll go over is the factors that make it difficult for us to control or understand our emotions. The next thing we're going to explore with each emotion is the vulnerability factors, the things in our memories, experiences, and environments that make us more or less likely to experience any given emotion. After we've gone through these emotions and kind of given some background on how they work, we'll start digging into how to describe them to other people or how to identify very difficult emotions when you're confused about how you feel. After we've covered those topics for each of the 5 emotions, we're going to dive into a slightly separate model where we're going to dig into the experience of having an emotion and understanding whether or not it's an appropriate emotion for you to have in that moment, whether or not it's an effective emotion for you to have in that moment, and then whether or not you should act on it or try to make it different. And then if you are going to act on it or try to change it, how you go about doing that for each emotion. Throughout this series of emotional literacy, you might see extra videos pop up on the channel from time to time. These shorter videos deep dive into a specific emotion rather than the categories of emotions, or compare and contrast 2 different emotion words and help figure out what's the difference between them. So, for example, if you're having a hard time understanding the difference between jealousy and envy, there will be a short for that that tells you how to tell whether you're experiencing jealousy or envy. Because emotions are so complicated and can be very messy, it can be very difficult to explain them all in a clinical fashion. If there's an emotion that you don't understand after I've covered it or you want me to cover it, feel free to send me an email at rory@uproarious.com. I'll take the questions that are put here and I will compile them, and towards the end of the emotional literacy section, if I haven't answered those questions in another video, I'll put them all together and answer them there. And that's the whole plan. Everything coming over the next few weeks will have to do with emotional literacy. If you're looking for more of these videos or the articles that go with them, you can check the playlist labeled Emotional Literacy or the category on my website labeled Emotions. Thanks again for stopping by and checking out this video on emotional literacy. Check the link in the description below for more information, and remember to be kind to yourself and others.